All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, the great millstone who teach and rule well. And peace, love, and salutations to the Akim that's out there laboring, that's up the hopeful elect, that's doing this work in truth and sincerity. And pretty much, a lot of things that's been going on, with the past couple of weeks. And this whole situation with Captain Kirk, pretty much is a main topic of discussion. And I got a few clips that I want to play, but this main clip that I want to first put out is this interview with Charleston White. Now, Charleston White pretty much is a character, but he does work with the youth, so to speak, and he does it in his own unique way, and pretty much in front of the camera, he has a type of he personifies an aura, that pretty much stirs up the people, so to speak. We'll just leave it at that. Whether or not he's Asian or not, but at the end of the day, we take a lot of what these people say from here and there, and we take in what applies to what we want to bring a point to. That's the main thing that we do. But I want to play a little bit of this clip, and this clip right here is the interviewer pretty much saying that him and Captain Kirk were pretty much on the same type of parallel as far as how they address their audience, and Charleston White pretty much begs to differ. So we'll just leave it at that. But pretty much I want to play this because he brings up some great points that's going to bring me to this lesson. We're going to catch it in mid-span. But at this point right now, they're speaking about how this Captain Kirk said pretty much, and I'm not, going to say his name, but he said that Negroes were better off in slavery. Okay? And the interviewer says to Charlton that you said the same thing. So he's basically in the midst of clarifying what he meant by that. All right, so without any further ado, let's play this clip.
Rhetoric and his rhetoric do not align. We were not better off as slaves when a white man can rape a black woman and be excused.
But in past interviews, you did say slavery needs to come back when out of control. You have said that a few times.
No. He's not advocating for slavery to come back. He's advocating that we were better off as black people as slaves.
Okay.
I'm saying we need these conditions to strengthen us as black people again. We wasn't better off. We were just stronger.
And that's a great point, because we were stronger as a people back then, man. Because back then we knew who our enemy was. Okay, our mindset wasn't infiltrated to the point to where Jake is pretty much all over the place. And coming out with these bugged out doctrines and ideology, things were a lot more simplified and more structural order back then. He wasn't speaking about the physical slavery part though, but the mental awareness of Negroes. Okay, was much more intact, much more better. Okay, we were more together. Okay, the ways of the wicked have seduced us, man. Okay, and this is why we're in the situation that we are in now. All right, the Lord already put us into captivity because we sinned against him. But then, okay, our adversary pretty much furthered the affliction of not only physically capturing us, but the mental thing, man. This is the stronghold that we continually try to fight every day. Okay, so that's pretty much the point he was making there, But I'm gonna play a little more and into this what he's getting into with this interviewer.
We wasn't better off when we can be hung up on a tree and captured when they said we was free, and the other slave masters said, "No, that's still my." We wasn't better off. We didn't have more.
Did you know Charlie Kirk before he died?
No.
I seen him debate a few times, but I didn't know.
I want to say. Me and him was on a segment together on Alex Stein's show, on Prime Stein with Alex Stein. So I want to say we had a brief segment, but him and Alex Stein is real good friends. So, but I've never heard of him, never knew anything about him, never seen a video before he died or nothing. So I'm saying, why would we be affected by a white boy getting killed by a white boy? Why would that bother black people? It don't matter. We don't cheer it on or nothing because his rhetoric don't reach my ears. He's never came across my algorithm. You know why? He arguing with college students that don't know a mother thing. He couldn't have debated me. He couldn't have debated me. One of the biggest lies I heard him say is that Trayvon Martin hunted George Zimmerman in the middle of the night. Then another thing I heard him say that black women can't think. Black women, he can't think. But then he says, if he saw a black pilot, he wondered if he's qualified.
Yeah, I see.
When I see a black pilot, I say, white folk let you get this job? For him to even be at the door to get the job, he got to be qualified. It's certain tests you got to pass. So yeah, they pick you on your color, but your color don't get you in the door. Your test scores do. So nigga, they trying to make it seem like black people ain't worked to accomplish what we done accomplished. And they forget they ain't built shit. So when I heard Charlie Kirk talking, all I heard him talk about is negative rhetoric, negative points, negative statistics.
Right, and that's going back to that statistical racism. You know, statistical racism, pseudoscience, and pretty much, you know, this was the rhetoric that this individual spoke upon, and he was reaching the ears of the young people on these college campuses. Okay, and pretty much, you know, he was very influential in that sense, and it's bringing people back to that old statistics where the statistics were false. Okay. And pretty much, man, when you concerning the children of Israel, you Negro, Latinos, and the Native Americans, pretty much you don't get the credit that is due of you building this place, man. Okay, you know that's pretty much the miseducation, okay, of E's school system, you know, and what he pretty much indoctrinates into the people's minds, and pretty much the much vital history that gets covered up. You know, okay, like he said again, you know, you got that individual that said that you know, we built everything, we came from the caves, and you're nothing. You know, that's the rhetoric that they're speaking, but it's all built upon lies that they were told. You see, when everything that's being used, we invented, man. Okay, all right, and we're now just getting recognition for some of these patents, man, that were pretty much were not in favor of the people that built it, man, invented it, man. You see? Okay, so pretty much, man, you know, this place was built on the backs of the children of Israel at the end of the day, man. Just like how we built up Egypt, this place is being built in the same manner to be a great nation, man. Okay, and even to this day, we keep this place running. Okay, you know that we hold vital positions in this place, man, to keep it running, man. Even if it is in a subservient capacity, okay, we're basically the crutch that's holding this place up, man. You know, all right, we're not being given account for our labors. You see, so let's continue.
About black people. What about the statistic that today's black fathers are more involved in their children's life than any other ethnicity? So why he's saying, well, single mothers now, you must forgot Southern strategy. Let's tell the whole story. We've been duped and tricked. We have never had a fair shot. You talking about redlining. Oh. So homie, he acting like the playing field been even amongst black people and white people. But I'm telling Kirk and all this people, black people are not y'all problem. We're not building missiles like North Korea and shooting them to the shores of Canada. We didn't take your planes and run them into the building. We ain't done none of that. All the crime that white people is complaining about is black on black. There's not a high black on white crime rate. I wish it was, Because when I was a kid, every crime I committed, where the camera at? As a kid, every crime I committed was against white people because I had black older people telling me, you go cross the railroad tracks.
And that's a point that I pretty much wanted to make, right? Because ultimately, it's fear of a black planet. When you heard that rhetoric when from back when Public Enemy had an album by that name. Public Enemy, a rap group, pretty much from the '90s, late '80s and '90s, pretty much had that title, and the mojo's pretty much wearing off on Jake. The spell that Esau's cast. The pretty much, that subservient spirit, man, and not want to ruffle no feathers, man. Jake is pretty much rising up. Jake is pretty much getting into more critical thinking. You see, and Esau pretty much has thrown everything at Jake to derail any type of constructive thinking. You see, okay, the scriptures speak about woe unto him that putteth the bottle to you, and that sit back and look upon your nakedness, man. And that's what they done. They looked upon our nakedness, man. Okay, but now the time is coming now where people are pretty much considering, different phases of it, but people are pretty much more alert right now, okay, but they're not gonna really be liberated until they come into the knowledge of this truth, man, wholeheartedly, okay. But at the end of the day, we understand what the Lord's mission is, okay, and what He plans on doing, okay. So let me get a scripture real quick because I want to play a little bit more, and I have other videos that I want to actually put out there. But let's go with Zechariah. You know what? Another point I want to make before I pull this scripture is the fact is that they're making Jake the problem here in the society, man. Okay, and the statistics don't show that. All that they're really talking about is the problem is that they're setting the stage for the problem being relegated into a bunch of teenage and 20-something-year-olds that are actually the cause of bringing this place down. Okay, you see, that's the rhetoric that's really going on right now, and that's pretty much what the mainstream media is pushing. Okay, this is how we know that Jacob's trouble is around the corner. But Jake don't have pretty much a dog in this fight, man. That this man is kingdom is slipping like that, man. Okay, it's his own policies, pretty much, man. Jake had nothing to do with this man's demise. Jake never even really heard of this guy. Most Jakes never even heard of this individual before, man. Okay, just like this Charleston White is saying, man. Okay, you see, but Jake, you got agents that are out there, paid agents that are actually inserting themselves into Esau's business, man. Okay, when you need to be tending to the business of the Lord at the end of the day, man, and getting right with your power. Okay, because that's what only thing you're gonna have in these times to come. Okay, what is gonna be your foundation that you're gonna be setting your feet upon, man? Okay, most Jakes are gonna perish because they don't have that, man. Okay, you're gonna succumb to the devices of Esau that he's bringing down the pipeline, man. Okay, and you're gonna bend to his will. Okay, and most Jakes will bow that knee, man. Okay, if they didn't already perish already. You see. Okay, all right. The Lord said, man, that you gotta turn to the stronghold, man. Okay, but let's get that real quick though. Let's go to Zechariah, chapter 9, verse 12. Turn you to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render double unto thee. And pretty much the Lord's going to overturn everything that He has done to us. And the blessings that are going to come, we're going to be rendered double, man. You see? But the prisoners of hope are really of the hopeful elect. You see? Okay? That's how stronghold. What's a stronghold? The stronghold is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Okay? But you notice now in these last days where people are proclaiming Christian and because people know in the back of their minds, man, this is a spiritual war at the end of the day. And they know that it's good against evil. You see? Okay? They understand that. Okay? And it says, verse 13, when I have bent Judah for me and filled the bow with Ephraim, right? Okay, Judah pretty much represents the southern kingdom. Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, you so-called Negroes, okay? And filled the bow with Ephraim, which is pretty much the northern kingdom, okay? And that's pretty much the the Latin tribes, if you want to so to speak, South Central America, okay, Mexico, and pretty much our people are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. They may look like the other nations, okay, but go back to the stock of Jacob, okay, all right, and of course, we're going to talk about Gad and Reuben, okay, the so-called native tribes, okay. All right, fill the bow with Ephraim, okay, that represents Ephraim, and raise up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, and make thee as a sword of a mighty man. So this prophecy is going to pretty much come to pass, okay, because what he likes to do is have that cognitive dissonance where he pretty much looks at things through a filtered glass, so to speak, and you want to pretty much blame and jump on what you feel is the weakest link, okay, the pretty much the weak person that you have beat down to powder in the society, and blame him for all your troubles, man. You see, that's the rhetoric that's going on, okay? And just the point that he made about where he used to just, carry out his evil deeds, on E, because the older Jakes told him to do that, and that's what he did. And ultimately that's what they fear at the end of the day. Okay? What's not being told is the actual population numbers, when they always said that you only are pretty much 13% of the population, when it's contrary, okay, to where when you have all of these Negro mayors in all these major cities, you didn't get to that point to having just 13% of the population, man. Okay, all right, because pretty much, you are the majority, contrary to popular beliefs that are out there. You see, okay, but this is what they fear. They fear Jake pretty much getting in their right mind. And at the end of the day, and he had said this before. I was trying to find a clip that when he said it, which was so profound, speaking about Charlton White, was that he said that the only friend in the world that's Esau got, he got, is you Negroes. Okay, this the guy that pretty much stood by your side, even though he was beaten and downtrodden, pretty much given the shaft as far as getting any type of level playing field foothold in the society. But Negroes have been loyal to their master, man, and it really is the only friend that they have right now, you see. And once Jake gets in his right mind of understanding who the enemy is, it's really going to be game over, man. Okay? Because at the end of the day, in all seriousness, Jake will know how to make the other nations uncomfortable within a society. Okay, that's a real profound statement that what you actually can see, to where if Jake was walking around with in their right mind, okay, all right, there's nothing stopping Jake. And really, like I said, he wants to point the finger at you so-called Negroes, but the war is going to be against all the tribes, man. Okay? And really, E doesn't have a stand a chance, man, when you come up against all of the tribes together, man. Okay? Oh, of course, you're going to have, your what you want to call your collateral damage, so to speak, because his blessing is a sword, okay? And pretty much, he's going to exercise that to his fullest ability, man. Okay? Because this is going to be pretty much his curtain call, man. Okay? So he's pretty much going to go out with a bang, so to speak. All right? All right? But what I want to do is I want to play this clip. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick.
But
this individual here, okay? So like if it feels like I'm a little bit all over the place though, but I want to make this point about this is the rhetoric that's going on now. And this guy right here, he's the host of the show Redacted, okay? And I pretty much think that he's married to the woman that he's married to on there is pretty much of the Northern Kingdom, so to speak, okay? But he classifies himself as a white man, so-called white man, But a lot of these people, man, that's just why that E is a coward, man. Okay? Because they fail to address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is the fact is that America is not first. Okay? America is pretty much bending the knee to Israel, man. Okay? So pretty much that's what comes first. And all of the politicians are pretty much paid off, man. But the rhetoric that they're talking about is pretty much still talking about left and right. Okay? And you Jakes are getting all caught up in it, man. And you shouldn't have a dog in this fight, man. You see? Okay? This whole political circus that you people been chasing for decades, okay, is not helping you people, man. It's helping to further put you in the bind, man. You see? All right? So let me play this little short clip here because this is the sentiment that's going on amongst E. Okay? Because they're running with that narrative. Okay? So without any further ado.
At the heart of it for me, I believe we are at a tipping point moment for the United States. For far too long, conservative men, independent men have been too tolerant, and they've been sitting back and they've been allowing this violence to go on. They've been sitting back saying, "Oh, there's the radical leftists again, carrying out another mass shooting. There's another leftist, who's been arrested 14 times, slashing a white girl on a train. We're outraged about it."
Now you see how you flip that? He went from leftist and now he's talking about a white woman getting slashed on a train. So they're trying to merge the left with you Negroes, man. Okay? Because a majority of you have always voted that way. And you're being lumped in with these people, the trans and the community, the LGBT community, and all of these pretty much these civil rights people, that have benefited from the Civil Rights Act, that are exercising their civil rights and civil liberties. Pretty much, man, you are pretty much lumped into this one category right here, man. Okay? So this is what's happening. Okay? And they're failing to realize that the narrative is really falling apart. But you're gonna have people like him that's gonna still conjure up low-level thinking Edomites that's gonna pretty much carry out and go up against Jake, man. You see? Okay? Because now all of the evidence is coming out now that there's something not right with that story with this guy being so-called assassinated, man. Okay? The story's not really holding up as well, man. And I have another clip that I want to play from Candace Owens. Okay? And she's been, and I'm going to tell you something about her a little later on in this video. Okay? All right? And, people have had a bad misconception about her. Okay? Because the version of her that we have gotten when we first learned about her was pretty much the Negro BET version of her. Okay, that pretty much was trying to demonize her to make her think that she was against her own people, but she was just getting black people, okay, you Negroes, really to start thinking outside the box, okay? Because this is what Esau has always done, is to keep you people in a box, man, okay? You see? You know, they want to take a bunch of teens and 20-something-year-olds that terrorize these cities and put you all in a box and say that a hard-working middle-aged man, okay, that pretty much takes care of his family and does, you know, right in this so-called quote-unquote society, they want to put you in the same box with an individual that's tearing the community down, man. You see? So there's a few degenerates that are running around terrorizing the city. They're gonna blame all you jakes for this, man. Okay? But now you just heard what he said. You know, he said something that, you know, about a white woman getting slashed on a train. He's speaking about Jake. He's speaking in code. Okay, but we already know. We already on him, man. We already know what he means by this, man. And a lot of other people like him that do this, man. You see?
But this feels different. And speaking to a lot of my conservative friends in positions of authority, they're feeling the same. And I think we're going to see a revolution in this country. I really believe that, unless something changes. Unless we have law enforcement that's willing to go after and lock these people up. And somebody goes online and makes a threat against somebody like Charlie Kirk or otherwise, or Tucker Carlson or myself, or it doesn't really matter who. Why are those people not being investigated or arrested and put behind bars? The threat of violence against some other human being in America, there should be no place for this. And yet we've allowed it. And these, you know, Facebooks and social media platforms with this type of rhetoric and violence, I'm not calling for censorship, but I'm calling when someone makes a threat of violence against another individual, that person has a knock at the door and is likely arrested, brought to justice, and made an example of in front of other leftists who are fine to be out there criticizing and calling for violence against somebody else.
And there's one thing in common that people, the citizens of Babylon, have in common, man. You know, right now, pretty much, man, everybody's searching for truth and looking for truth, man. Okay? And you got the regular citizens that's pretty much are having themselves pitted against each other, man, through the media, man. And this is what this individual right here, and some of these people are paid off, man. Okay? They're paid off to keep that narrative going, man, to where they want you to believe that that's who pretty much assassinated this individual, man. Okay? When it was for a much higher calling for the unaliving of that man. Let's leave it at that. Okay? Which will lead me to another video with Candace Owens, because she's pretty much crushing the narrative, man. Okay? And the way that you crush a narrative is you keep on hitting it with facts and receipts. And the fact is that she's putting out daily content, to where she's not just making one podcast, and then, you know, they pretty much have time to pretty much debunk it, try to debunk it, or you know, or pretty much put it as disinfo. You see, when you continue, and this is the reason why they have to shut down this internet, man, because fresh content continues to come out, and there's no answers being answered, man. You see? So this man, you know, and he did bring out some good content on his show, but I pretty much think that he's been compromised now. Okay? You see? Because he's talking with a double tongue. Because he knows that there's evidence out there that says otherwise than the narrative. You see? But he's going with this original narrative as we speak right now. You see? And pushing this to think that this is what it is, man. Okay? And this is what's going to cause a division of this place, man. And then ultimately the downfall of it, man. You know? All right? So let's play a little more.
It needs to stop going after Supreme Court judges. Like, this is enough. This is enough. This is a tipping point moment in the United States. I don't think, I think you're witnessing now the end of this tolerance. You're witnessing the end of men just sort of sitting back, allowing this to happen. I think we've had it, and I'm really worried about what comes next. But I will say this, it feels like you've made your own bed. It feels like these people have made their own bed, and they had better be ready to lie in it. because I think that that's what's coming, and I'm really concerned about what happens next. And I don't say that lightly. But if what I'm hearing from my friends and what I'm seeing online over the past 7-8 hours is any indication of what's coming, we are at a tipping point moment for the United States, and I'm really concerned about it.
And he's not really concerned about it though. Okay, you want to be able to uh, take out your frustrations on what you want to deem as the weaker vessel, man. Okay, all right. You want to prey upon the poor, man. Okay, you want to blame the poor for your issues, man. You see? Okay, all right. All right. From there, let's go to a scripture real quick. All right. Okay, because this is what's happening right now, man. They're demonizing Jake right now, man. You know, and Jake, you know, if you're not keen to it, you're gonna fall right into that narrative, man. Okay, this is Isaiah, chapter 59. Let's see, verse 19. Let me just check something real quick here. Let me just run up here though, because I want to start at verse 7. Because Jake is so intertwined within this political system, you know, you're starting to align yourself with your adversary wholeheartedly, and you're thinking that that's the only way to get out of any situation that you're in, when the Lord said to arise and depart, and you depart from this place from having any doings with it, as far as any political ideologies that you have been brainwashed into you, to leave that stuff alone, man. Okay, because it's not gonna be to your benefit. You see, it says here, Isaiah 59:7, their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are the thoughts of iniquity, wasting and destruction are in their paths. You know, and Jake has been seduced to having this mindset right here, man. You know, and this is a trait that he has, okay? And it's fully embedded amongst the tribes, man. Okay? The way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made in crooked paths, whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace. Therefore is judgment far from us, neither do justice overtake us. We wait for light, but behold, obscurity. For brightness, but we walk in darkness. We grope for the wall like the blind, and we grope as if we lay no eyes. We stumble at noonday as in the night, and we are in desolate places as dead men. And this is what this whole thing has gotten Jake, man. Jake has not gotten a fair shake out of this place when you try to follow this man on a political level. Okay? You know, Jake is just pretty much thinking that this place is for him, because why? It's because you got a few people that's like him, that's within the party that he's voting wholeheartedly for whatever way you voted, man. It's all, right now, it's all being exposed, man. Okay? Really dealing with a unit party, man. Okay? And this country is not first on any level. Okay? Okay? And this is what those people, okay, MAGA, what do you want to call them, that's what they're going to be fighting for, man. Okay? And our stronghold is these scriptures, man, and our power, man. You see? Okay? Right? It says, we roar all like bears and mourn like sore doves. We look for judgment, but there is none. For salvation, but it is far off from us. And you keep on following this thing, man, you're not going to find it. Okay? You're going to perish, man. Okay? Because you're seeing the rhetoric that this man is pretty much speaking of right here, man. Okay? You know? All right? You got to watch the serpent, man. He's speaking about how he's concerned. No, he knows. He's talking about people in authority. He's speaking to friends and people of authority. And that's the scary thing, because now, you know, this man is going to try to take matters in his own hands now, man. And this is to show you how weak this man is, because he's not addressing the elephant in the room. And knowing that this place is being pimped, okay, by a much higher entity, man. Okay, you see, all right, and people are gonna change their talking points because of that bag. They received that bag, and that's the way of influence for a lot of these podcasters, man. Okay, a lot of these podcasters and politicians, okay, have been compromised, man. You know, okay, all right, which leads me to my final video. Okay?
Challenged.
And we gotta
Turning Point USA
we
executive.
gotta bring our Candace Owens into this, man. Okay, so whatever people may feel about her, she's actually standing up against the evildoers at the end of the day. Okay, you know, she's not in his truth. You know, I mean, she does call herself so-called Christian. You know, but he doesn't know any better in that sense, though. But the whole fact of calling out the powers that be, calling them out, you know, and this is pretty much, man, what she's doing is far from any type of controlled opposition, man, because she's actually putting her life on the line, basically, you know, as we do so as well. But she's doing it on a level to where, okay, she's on this whole mainstream media, and you're looking at a person here that has pretty much over 5 million followers, man. And ever since this whole fiasco with this man being unalived, you know, her videos have been going viral because people are searching for truth, and she's not gonna let this go to rest, man. And the worst thing to have, or I guess the best thing to have, is, well, in Jake's sense, when you're dealing with a Jake male, is to have a nigga woman play detective, man. Okay, because that's one thing, is that the black woman, she's very good at that, man, playing detective, man. Okay, and finding things out. This is why they make some of the best lawyers, man. Okay, because a lot of them pay attention to detail. You see, okay, and they pretty much get into this whole thing, and this is what she's getting into, man. But she's finding holes into this narrative. So now this is a message to the to Turning Point USA, which this man was affiliated with, and she's a former had a former affiliation with this organization as well. You know, this organization pretty much is you know, supporting, you know, what he was saying as far as his rhetoric, and you know, debating, you know, college students, and being influencers of the younger generation. Okay, but she pretty much spills the beans right here in a nutshell at the end of the day. You know, there's a lot of integral parts going in that I really don't want to pretty much bring up. I'd rather have them say it in their words, pretty much, because they, you know, they hit the nail on the head, so to speak, and get straight to the point of it. So without any further ado, let's play this little short clip by her.
To issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay, Charlie was done. He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion could happen? It's a yes or a no. Explicitly, I want to hear from Turning Point USA that I'm lying about that. I want you to say no, it was just, you know, he was feeling a little bit of pressure. No, I want you to literally answer what I have just said. It either happened or it didn't. I'm either making it all up or it happened exactly as I'm saying. And while we're at it, may I ask, what is the name of the Jewish donor who sponsored the Hamptons weekend? Okay. And to Pastor Rob McCoy, were there any LLCs that you or your son were being paid through that sat outside of Turning Point? I'm asking that question genuinely. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. none of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving, okay? There is no way you are letting these lies fly unless, as I am hearing, unless it is true that there was a big payday that was on the line. And if Charlie radically stated that he was done with Israel, if Charlie said he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause because of, and I quote, Jewish donors, the behavior of Jewish donors, if he said that, yes or no, well then, I don't know, maybe some people didn't want to take that risk that he was going to become Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson at Turning Point USA with so much presence across college campuses. Maybe they didn't want to take the chance. You see, I'm just one person, so it's easy to just try to cancel my life and lie on me every second of every day. But Turning Point USA, I think, got a little bit bigger than Charlie, and I'm no longer going to allow this lie in this narrative. So answer the questions, yes or no. And I'm going to, again, challenge you to lie. And if you do lie, I'm going to expose the lies. And I'm going to start dropping videos, actually. So that's where I'm at. Enough of the games. Enough with trying to allow Israel to wrangle a narrative that you know is not true. Be challenged.
Yeah, and pretty much that's the point right there. So you see, now there's a lot of things that's going on behind the scenes with this because she knew how he felt concerning any sponsors, so to speak. And, he probably took a bag or two in the past. But, he, was started dancing with the devil, man. But when you do that, okay, when you make that commitment to take that bag, you have to keep it going, man. You can't have no type of change in the heart, okay? Because that's not in the contract, so to speak, man, that you make with the devil, man. Okay? You see? All right? You basically sign your life away, so to speak, man. Okay? This is the same way that they do in the music industry, man. Okay? All right? You have to do what they say, man. They own you, man. You took our money. We own you now, so to speak, man. So, I don't want to get too much deep into that aspect of it, though. But E knows this, man. And E is failing to address the elephant in the room, so to speak, man. But instead, what he does is he wants to look at you jakes, man. But the Lord says otherwise at the end of the day, man. Okay? Because the Lord is just going to raise up his men. Okay? Ultimately, in the kingdom. All right? All right, when he makes his return. But Jake is going to get some of that power on this side, too, man. Okay, you're gonna see some miraculous things from Jake, man. Okay, all right. You see, all right. These things will come to pass, man. All right, all right. Let's get a scripture real quick. All right. Did I finish? I wanted to see. Did I finish that scripture? Reading that one. And the Lord is pretty much going to set up a standard, man, against them when the enemy comes in like a flood, man. Okay? So the Lord is going to set that standard, man. All right? And that standard is going to be really of miraculous things, man. Okay? Because when you look at it, and when you look at the words that's being used in that verse, when you look it up, it says to escape, to fly, to disappear, to take flight. It has these things, and it's like, okay, well, hey, some of those things can be spiritual powers, man. Okay, intervention and power, man. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 19. Verse 16. In that day shall Egypt be like unto woman, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of your Lord of hosts, which he have shaken over it. Okay? Because turmoil's coming here, man. Okay? And these people are going to be like unto woman, man. In the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid of in himself, because of the counsel of Yahweh of hosts, which he have determined against it, man. Okay? So, yeah, we're pretty much, man, Judah, man, pretty much is going to be a terror to this place, man. Okay? And the worst thing is, like I said, this whole thing, Jacob's trouble is coming, but just know that, Jake has been always in the position of difficulty. Okay, where a lot of Jake comes from, man. Life is cheap, man. So anything that Eve brings, Jake can pretty much handle it. Though he may get put to death, but hey, I feel like I speak as a man that it's gonna be a lot of collateral damage, man, in that time, man. Okay, it's gonna be damage on either side, man. Okay, when Eve begins to draw his sword, man. You see? Okay. All right. From there, all right. Let's go to Zechariah 12. Let's start at verse 2. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. Okay, northern southern kingdom. The Lord said He's going to make them cause these other people to tremble, man. In that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut into pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. You see that? Okay, so this is going to happen on this side. Okay, all right. You jakes are going to be a burdensome stone to these people, man. Okay, and they just talk, but physically, this is what's going to happen as well. Okay, all right. It says, "In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness, and I will open the eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse upon the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah shall say in their hearts, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and the Lord of hosts their power." Okay, and we know that we talk about Jerusalem and as a people before a place, man. Okay, it says, "In that day will I make the governors of Judah like a hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire of a sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. And the Lord shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as the Most High, as the angels of Yahweh before them. And it shall come to pass that day I will seek to destroy all the nations that come up against Jerusalem." Pretty much, man. This is gonna be it's gonna start off on this side and to the Lord's return, and continue on. Okay, when you have that ultimate transition of power, man. Okay, so pretty much, Jake don't have nothing to do with much, man. Jake is only doing things amongst themselves, man. Okay, destroying themselves, man. You see? Okay, and that time is coming, man. Where Jake pretty much is gonna have to stand up, man. All right, let's get that. Okay, let's go to Genesis 49, right? Judah, thou art. Let's go start at 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stoopeth down and he croucheth as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? And the Lord is pretty much going to put situational circumstance in place for Judah to actually rise up, man. Okay, because they've been in a deep sleep, man. Okay, and that time, that smelling soul is coming, man. Okay, Judah, they got to get touched up, man, for them to actually wake up. You see? Okay, so yeah, we want to talk about the analogy of poking the bear. That's what he's pretty much gonna do, man. Okay, he's pretty much gonna poke that bear, man. Okay? All right? All right, one more precept. Let's go with Isaiah 41. I want to grab something out of there real quick. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish. Thou shalt seek them and shalt not find them, even them that contend with thee. That war against thee shall be as nothing and as a thing of naught. So, hey, the Lord is pretty much saying it right here that whoever comes up against you is gonna be as nothing, man. Okay, for I, Yahweh, thy power will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. Fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel. I will help thee, saith Yahweh, and thy Redeemer of the Holy One of Israel. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument, having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shalt make the hills as chaff. You see? Okay, so poking up the bear
But
is pretty much what's going to happen.
at the heart of it, for me, I believe we are at a
You got people now that are pretty much
tipping point moment.
He has pretty much been compromised all the way around, and it's to his own destruction at the end of the day, man. Okay, you see, because even if you do go, he says he's against censorship, but even with you going with this narrative now, you are supporting it, man. You are aiding in abetting to your demise. Okay, and you're being a coward and doing it as well, because the real elephant in the room you're not addressing. Okay, because there's a lot more to that man being unalive that you people are scared to speak about, man. Okay, you see? All right, so he thinks he's gonna go ahead and pick on the weaker vessel, which is you tribes, man. Okay, and the Lord has something prescribed for that, man. At the end of the day, man. Okay, the Lord said he's gonna set up a standard against them. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rukakwadash, Shalom.